Right now, I'm involved in something that many of you will make you nervous. I'm pushing very hard to try and bring about a new investigation of 9/11. The storyline of 9/11 is totally inaccurate, and the last 9 years has brought out unbelievable amount of information. Right at the get-go, I had my suspicions of it from a political point of view, but now there's a whole body of science that really makes the case very strongly for this. And so I came up with the suggestion that maybe we ought to do is use the state initiative process in California and other states to try and jumpstart getting a commission to reinvestigate, and with grand jury powers. I've been working on it for several months. I'm a little discouraged right now because we're not raising the money to bring this about, because this would be a very expensive undertaking. But at the same time, I will realize, and the reason why I'm pushing it, is that if we had the national initiative in place where you could make laws, you could do this in 30 days. Set up a new commission. There would be a citizens commission unrelated to the government. And that's what we need. The key to the success of the national initiative, which is not what you have at the state level now, is that your ability to make laws under the national initiative is totally independent of representative government. Understand, that the minute you bring the people into the process of governance, they become the senior partners, because they can amend the Constitution, and they can turn around and change the nature of the government if they so choose. Requisite for what I'm talking about is unreserved faith in the people. You know something? You don't have a choice. There's only two venues for change in our society. One is the government, wherein the problem exists, or the people. If the people realize that on the shelf there's a piece of legislation, not very long, that they could pull down and vote for, and if it became the law of the land, they would then be empowered as lawmakers in partnership with their elected officials. Let me close on that note, and let me tell you one quote from Cicero. And I don't know if any of you know it, is that freedom is participation in power. If you don't participate in power, you're never free, because you're subject to somebody else's power. And that's what the National Initiative is all about. It's bringing about a guarantee of freedom that you don't have today. Thank you very much, and let's have some questions. First, okay, from a professor.
I know that I'm not supposed to let students ask questions, but just to get it started off. In terms of your national initiative proposal, how does it intersect with the different levels of social organization? Like, for example, do you think that the existing levels of governance, local, state, national, states, as we have them now, will still continue to be the relevant levels of analysis or participation?
Yeah. No, it will shift. The whole fulcrum of power will shift away from the elites to the majoritarian decision-making process, whatever that may be at any given time. So it won't be the people who call the shots now, the elites, corporate America, the Congress, what have you. No, it will shift. Because you see, as issues come forward, people will say, well, boy, we've got to do something about that. Let's pass an initiative. And when they pass the initiative, if it passes, then, lo and behold, then the change takes place. So all of the policy areas that are mischievously damaging our lives today will slowly get solved. And as they're solved, you won't have to revisit them again. That's the beauty of here, let's take the abortion issue. And let's take the issue of, well, who basically is for this? Well, you say, well, it's the religious group. Not really, it's one small segment. I approach the constituency very simply. 20% of the people are dumb as fence post. 20%. Yeah, given. Just look at the number of people that supported Bush when he left office, or supported Nixon when he left in disgrace. 20, 25%. That means that there's 75, 80% of the people out here that, and 50% of those, more than 50% of those, don't even get involved in the process for various reasons. And so there is a whole area of people that could get involved and now act in a majoritarian fashion. One of the, and this leads me to a thought that, in case the question doesn't come up, the thought that, well, if we empower the people to act on a majoritarian basis, won't they oppress the minority? Thomas Jefferson, in the first page of the Senate Manual, says that the majority protects itself by its numbers, the minority is protected by law. And so we're a mature society, and we're not going to go back to slavery. We're not going to go back to these other areas. Hell no. We've matured to a level, and so we won't go back. So we know that law is very important, and that therefore obedience to law is important. Problem is that under our present system, you have to obey the law, but the president and the people at high office don't have to obey the law unless they get caught. So
that's helpful. I'm just curious though, in terms of organizing interests, like the state of California, will that make sense to, and this, state of Arizona, and the state of New York? I mean, will this be the way that we will continue to organize ourselves into these different levels of identity?
This is a federal law now. Keep in mind, what I'm talking about is a constitutional amendment and a federal law. That supersedes all initiative laws in the state. So in the minute you see the difference, you could turn around if you wanted to file under California law, but you'd use this federal law because it's better. And so that means that for California decisions, you'll be using this initiative. You'll call the Electoral Trust and they'll set it up for you. In fact, under this procedure, every initiative election is conducted by the Electoral Trust. Everyone. So there's not. Oh, in fact, let me go back. I never really pointed out to you what the other three shortcomings of the Constitution. One was 3/5, which is now gone. The other one is Article 5, the way we amend the Constitution. The other one is the Senate. The Senate is a very undemocratic process. I would think we ought to have a unicameral system. We don't need the Senate. Just waste a lot of money, a lot of time. That's the second one. The other one is the Electoral Trust, not the
Electoral College.
Electoral College. Do you realize that a citizen from California, from Alaska, where I'm from, has 5 times more clout voting for president than you as a Californian? Just do the math. And so that's grossly undemocratic. And then the last one, which most people don't even focus on, is that federal elections are conducted by local and state governments. That's where the mischief is in. And that was decided right at the get-go, because when they decided, oh, you want to have a federal system, fine. We believe in states' rights, but you can go ahead and have your federal system. But we're going to elect the president and the members of Congress. And that's election's going to take place at our. So you saw what happened in Florida. Unbelievable. Ohio. Did the Congress do anything to change it? Yeah, a lot of good people in the Congress. They could have put forth a whole proposal. Hell no, all they did was throw $3 million at it, $3 billion, so that you could get Diebold and a bunch of other corporate hacks putting in machines that made the problem even worse. So that's the way your Congress works. So, gentleman back there.
You said that in the national initiative you would not allow corporations to be treated as persons, but hasn't the Supreme Court since the late 19th century in Santa Clara v. Union Pacific more or less ruled that corporations have all the rights of persons?
They didn't rule it at the time. This was a footnote. This was a footnote in that case. And of course, the corporations are dumb. They turned around and expanded that to what you have now with Americans United or whatever.
Citizens United.
Citizens United with the recent decision. The answer to that question is real simple. We would pass, in fact, I would join with you. One of the first initiatives we would pass, once the national initiative is in place, is doing away with corporate personhood. The organization, ProClad, and all their literature, they've done all the work. We don't really re-educate ourselves to that. Just ask Hoffman and a few of the other guys, here, draft this initiative to correct this problem, and then let's put it before the people. And I got to tell you, that would pass by more than 70, 80% if we had that ability. But you don't have that ability, so you're screwed. You're going to stay screwed as long as the elites control our society, and that, from my point of view, is till infinity unless we can empower them.